All right, we're back. The first lesson in this kind of the straddle session, we talked about what a straddle is, and again, it's selling it at the money, call and put. How much more profitable it is to not only sell a straddle when volatility is greater than average, but at the same time being able to manage your profits, right? Take our winners off early. Then we said, hey, but straddles, they kind of incur the most losses in all the strategies. At the same time, they make us the most amount of money. A lot of people are risk averse to the type of losses that can occur with straddles, right? So we talked about, hey, you know what? If we manage our straddles at 25% of max profit and at the same time we put a stop loss at 150% of the credit we received, actually that is not a bad strategy at all. I personally would never do it because I prefer to make the most amount of money, but a lot of our students and a lot of our market heroes, and maybe you, they choose to do that. But we've been making a big stink about 25% of the max profit as what the profit target for straddle should be. So in this little lesson, we're going to talk about and we're going to show you if 25% is actually the way to go, right? So again, what's a straddle? It's very important to understand what a straddle is. Selling an at-the-money call and at-the-money put at the same time. So if we go to another stock, because we've been talking about SPY so much, if we go to IWM, which is the Russell 2000 ETF, right now the Russell is at 139.22. The at-the-money straddle would be the 139 straddle, right? Pretty simple, right? Again, we make money a couple of ways. We make money if the expected move decreases or implied volatility decreases in the life cycle of this trade. At the same time, we make money if the prices fall between our break evens. So at this point, our break evens are going to be plus 522, right? So they're going to be 144.22. Actually, we can just show you here. Our break evens are going to be 133.79 and 144.22, right? So we make money if the price of IWM in this point or whatever stock falls between our short strikes. And also, again, we want to manage it early because the prices this has the most amount of risk, while at the same time we have theta being at its highest point when we are selling options and for the options that are closest to the current strike price of the stock. Right, so that's why theta gets ripped out of these so quickly, right? So that's what a straddle is, and you guys know this, right? You guys know this. So now we want to see if buying back for 25% is the way to go. Maybe it's buying back for 50% like we did with strangles. So kind of like, let's see here, right? So we know this is profitable. Holding till expiration is profitable. We're supposed to be right about 40% of the time, but if we do it every day for a 14.5-year period, like you guys have seen, we're right about 66% of the time for about $2.71 a day. That's great. And the reason for that is, again, because options are priced off their expected move, and the expected move has been overstated. That means that options are overstated, right? They're overvalued. That's why we sell them, right? But if you buy back at 25% of the credit we received, we take that and we make it about 3 times better, right? But again, is 25% the way to go? So what we did was, for that same period, 14.5 plus years, depending on when you're watching this lesson, every day in SPY, so that's 18,000 plus occurrences, we sold the at-the-money straddle. Right? Makes sense. This time we did a few things, right? We did a few things this time. The first thing we did was we just held it to expiration, right? We just held it to expiration. The second thing we did was if it reached 12.5% profitability, we would buy it back, right? So what does that look like in SPY, right? So we have the 247 straddle, right? So it reached $6.18 is your max profit, right? So let's do a little quick math. That would be 87.5. So $6.18 times 0.875. If it ever reached $5.40, we would look to buy it back, right? So that would be the first thing we did. Right? The second thing we did was 25% max profit. So if it ever reached 75%, right? 25% max profit, $4.63 or $4.64, we would look to buy it back. The next thing we did was we looked to see if 50% profitability worked. So if it ever reached $3.09, we would look to buy it back. And then obviously 25%. So if the value of the put and call, the 247 put and call, ever reached 155 or 154, we would look to buy it back, right? And again, if we couldn't buy back any of these, they'd just get held until expiration. So the goal of this is nothing more than trying to figure out what is the optimal what is the optimal profit target for straddles, right? And here are the results. Right, so again, if you hold it till expiration, you're right 66% of the time for about 271 per day on average. Your largest loss though is about $3,000. Remember, a $3,000 loss on one contract in SPY is a $30 loss. That's right, $30. It's pretty big. But as you guys know, we went through a nasty financial crisis in 2008, 2009. Those things definitely happen. Now, if you bought it back at 12.5% of max profit, you're right 84% of the time. So you're right almost double the amount of times you're supposed to be right. You're only in the trade about 19 days. Your average P&L for day is $3.79. Your largest loss was about cut in thirds, right? So it's about just $1,200. Pretty good. And then you guys see down the rest of this graph and this chart, if you buy back for 25%, you're right 81% of the time for about $7.89 per day, but you had that $3,000 loss in there. If you buy it back now for 50%, your profitability starts to go down. Right, your profitability starts to go down, right? You're only right about 67% of the time. You're still better than just holding until expiration. You're right at about $4.02, but you still incur that $3,000 loss. And then ultimately, if you try to buy it back for 75% of max profit, you're right even less for less money every single day. So what is the answer? I choose 25% of max profit because as you guys can see here, that is the most profitable strategy. And I'm totally okay losing this much money because I've been doing this for a long, long time. I'd rather make the most amount of money because of the size I use. Let's say I do 10 or 20 of these contracts. 60 cents per day per 10, 20 contracts is going to be tens of thousands of dollars over the course of a year for me. However, a lot of our market heroes, and you may choose this and I'll fully support it, are looking to buy back straddles for 12.5% of max profit because the profitability is not that much less. It's about 10% less than if you just buy back for 25%. However, the largest loss was mitigated and was caught based off of buying back for 12.5% profitability. So I will do always 25% because it's the most profitable. I'm totally okay and totally support if you guys want to do 12.5, but I always care about the most money per day. I'll see you guys in the next video.